Okay, thought I would do a little more on this. So I was playing around and I found a little solution to what my issue was here. Because normally you wouldn't broadcast these. I'm actually going to delete that. And I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to turn on the normal instantiate on the start, which is where it should normally be. Now, I was having issues, so I just broadcasted, but whatever. But I'll show you where my issue was. It was in this scene. All I got to do is put the sync scene over here when you connect to the master. And that seemed to solve everything. So, there's some UI stuff here we should definitely fix up. But let's go into here. Actually, no. Let's create a bullet. Just gonna zero this off and make this a trigger. Not going to be anything fancy looking. That is our crappy little bullet. So it needs a game object proxy and a photon view, and it needs a photon transform view so that we can track its position in photon. Okay, so what do we want it to do? We want to translate on it, say it's Z constantly, and we'll say trigger event. We'll have to give a tag to our players. On trigger enter with player tag, let's hit, and we've hit the player. So we're going to use broadcast event to player, and we're going to use by owned object, and this is going to give me a thing, and I have an event global damage. Stick that in there, so we need to put that, but we also need string data. I don't know, we'll say 10 for now. And you can create an int and convert it to a string. Whatever, not a big deal. And then let's destroy self after just an itty bitty tiny wait. Okay, so let's name that bullet. Stick it over there. Okay, in the player, let's make a spawn point. I'm just going to stick this out here, and we will have, we need two FSMs. We need a health, and we'll call this an attack. So health, let's give ourselves a little health bar. So I wonder if we should just do a world space canvas. Maybe we will. Maybe we will. And let's go. It's still insanely big. There we go, and let's stick that. Let's put a slider in there. Obviously shrink that down. And I'm going to turn this 180. And I'm going to get rid of that and put this 0 and green. Fill area 0 those. Slider, I'm going to use whole numbers. We'll go say 50, fill that up. Okay. And let's go here and no. I was going to make it face the camera, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that for now. Okay, so there's that. We have a spawn point and we have a bit of a health bar. So what we need to do is we have slider set value. Our slider is this guy, and we're going to use a value called, no, we want a converted value. So we're going to make an integer called health, and we'll put that to 50. Now this can be a converted health, so it'll be 50. We need a event called damage. We get event. It's a string. So this is damage string. We need to string to int. Damage string to damage int operator, or you can use int subtract. I just don't have int subtract in my thing right now. So we're going to take health, subtract damage, store into health, and then we are going to update our UI. I'm just going to copy this guy over and stick him here. Okay, so there's that. Might have to do some alterations to that, but no biggie. So that's health. So on attack, let's get mouse button down, and let's say attack. Whoops. Going too quick. And let's pawn instantiate. We're creating our bullet. We're creating it at our spawn. And that's pretty much all that thing needs to actually do. There we go. So let's save. Okay, let's just run a quick little test. So we connect the master. Fill out a little thing. We have our little health bar. We hit our button and we have these little balls flying. Okay, cool. So the player needs this tag player, which is there. Okay, I'm just going to rename these just so I know. This is the connect to master button. This is the join random, and this is just some input field. This is room name. I think we should make a few more of those. Let's put one over here, activate it so I can see it, and let's call this one join room name. Oh, where'd my input field go? Did I delete it? Oh no, renamed it. Duh. Alright. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. So okay, one of the other things I guess we should probably do, let's not use a text, let's use a input field. And we'll call this player name. And maybe we should start with this deactivated. We'll see. All right, so okay, let's just think for a minute. So we connect to the master on a button click, and it does these things. So in reality, we don't want this here. We want a get input text. Pretty sure there's a get input length somewhere. Okay, so this is going to be based on, you know, we really should just be using variables. So let's go name text, and I'm going to come over here, and name text is player's name. Okay. So that is player's name. Now we want to string length, and if player's name let's get that constantly. Let's get the text constantly, and int compare. Let's just go like this. Okay, so if that is, we'll say 3. So if that is equal, it's good. If it's greater, it's also good. All right, this is actually going to be our start state. So if it's good, we're going to copy this state and bring it over here, just like that. Now, if it's less, it's bad. Right? And that's where we can now bring this guy, stick him over here, and I guess we can still use that connect to master. Actually, he might as well just go like this. We don't need this one, I guess, anymore. So the other thing we want to do is connect to master. So we want this to be interactable true. Copy, paste before false. Okay, so now the player has to have a name. The other thing we want to do is set nickname to player's name. Pretty simple. We can use that later on if we want to display a gamer tag or something. All right, so now we've connected to this. Let's deactivate player's name, and we've already deactivated the connect to master, and we have the room name gets activated, and we need this one also activated. So join room name, and the rest of that should be fine. All right, so where we have room name, we have a little bit of logic here for setting this interactable. So we don't want the join random to be interactive, because we really don't need a room name if we're doing that. But we do need the join room name button to have that. I'm just going to swap that over. So we can now join random, or we can join by room name. So if that's the case, we also need let's send an event. So here we have join random. We also want to have a system custom photon join on created room. Right, because over here we don't need that. Technically, it's. I mean, it is. I mean, we could create a room name with this, I suppose. But I mean, we're doing a random room. We almost just need a random string here. So I think I'm going to delete that and go random string. I wonder if I could just do that. No. We'll do a random int. Random int 0 to, I don't know, 999999. And random. And the room name's going to be random. Okay. So now, what else do we want? So we have created a room. Let's go here. So we have join room name. Let's add an FSM. And UI button click. So if we click this button, click, then we need to get input field text of room name, and then we need to create room with that room name. Custom properties. I'm actually going to stick one of these in here. We're going to create a room. It's going to have we're going to say a weapon, and it's we'll use an int value starting 0. Sure. We'll get to that one later. So that should be, let's test that. So we have our nickname now. Right. So we hit that. And while that is set interactable, so we also need to activate this button. So we got to fix that. We're going to connect the master. So now we should almost bring a text up that says our name that you can't change anymore. So we can join random, and join random now needs to be interactable all the time. And we need to change this name, obviously. We can name a room and then join it. If it doesn't join, it's going to create it. So let's see what's happening. those are stuck all of a sudden? I do not know. Oh, I wonder if I like double did that or something. Okay, let's separate that just in case that was the issue. All right, so we need a few things. We need this to be interactable. That was one thing. Over here, when we set this all up, we also need to activate that button, which we might as well over here then deactivate that button. Okay, so there's our name. We can now connect the master. We can join, or we can set a name. If we set a name, it does that, and there's an issue there. So we need to look at that. There's our name, connect the master, and if we join random, it works. So it's just when we hit join the room name, and we hit join room name, we create that. I wonder if that was because of that. Okay, we'll deal with that later. All right, because over here we should have we should see a few of these light up. So we've connected the master, we come over there, we set this, we go boom. Oh yeah, see how it goes that and that? I think that's what's causing it. I think that's why there's two, and I think that's why it's freezing. So, on join, on created. I'm just going to get rid of this guy then. I don't think we need him. And on join room failed. On join random room failed. So we do need something there though. Which would be create room. For now, we'll see. Let's see if that was our issue. Yes, that was our issue. So let's save, and let's just do a quick little run since we've done a few changes now. And let's hit play on there. Come over here. So we got our name, and this is we do one. He says that. I'm just gonna do join random. Let's move him over here. This guy's name, his name is gonna be Bob. There you go, Bob. So now we have 2 health bars, and if I shoot, oh, we have some sort of trigger issue happening. See, and they're both shooting, which is why I don't like to use like mouse input for this. It doesn't make a whole lot of, because I mean they both get it. Okay, well there we have. It's damaging this guy. That guy was empty to begin with. So let's take a look at that. Health, and health is that. Slider is that. So he should be full. Now if I if I do a is mine, what if I would stop that? Is mine, mine, oh, mine, and go over here and mine there. If it's mine, we'll do something a little different. Alright, so this one, this guy, here we have a slider value, that. Alright, well, for now, I'm going to put to every frame because it's not going to stay there. And let's close this one down. Build and run again. See how this is looking. What are we at for time? Okay. Play. Okay, we're going to go over here, connect to master, sure. Connect to master and go. So his health is full, and if we hit him, his went down, but that didn't. So, how are we going to solve that? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. So, we, if you remember how we handled the other thing, I know that's totally not, doesn't make any sense. So let's broadcast an event, right? We're going to broadcast an event to all buffered and this is going to be damage. So actually, I don't know if that's going to work for us, because we want to hit that player. So let's just go down here. Let's get ID, and we're getting the ID of the player. That's the ID. String data. So there we go. Let's do this. Let's do a string build. This will be build string. So we're going to use 3 parts. We're going to use the ID. No, we're going to use 2 parts, sorry. And we're going to use the number 10. ID and 10. So we're going to come down here and go there. Oh, we need to put that below that. So we build string, we're going to store this as send info. So the data we're sending is send info. So what we're doing is we're going to get the ID of what we hit. And so I could have sworn the oops. Let's get rid of that. Local player by actor number. Oh, we might be able to do that. Alright, let's hold off on this build string. If this doesn't work, well, we can build the string. So we can get the ID, send that damage 10 damage. Send that, close that down, then destroy yourself. So we're going to get the ID and send it to player. So that should be all that should take. Let's just do another quick test, make sure to close that down. And if not, then we will build a string and then break the string down on the other side, and that should work just fine. So we have this, connect to master, that, connect to master, there, whoops. Right, okay, yeah, so the bright side, they're not both shooting balls. The whole is mine thing did work for that one thing. Right, now the ball was destroying, just wasn't sending the damage. So let's see. Yeah, see, it wasn't, there was no event happening. All right, let's see. What is happening with that? By actor number. I think that's because I probably used the wrong value. By user ID, by room number. I wonder if I could just get his nickname. No. Alright, well, I don't want to do it by that then. That's a string. That's an integer. So I'm pretty sure it would be by actor number. Alright, well, this thing is knowing me, so I'm going to skip that for now, and I'll go back to this style. We'll build a string. We'll use the ID and 10. Then we're going to broadcast it all to everybody in send info. So that means on this guy, we get this thing, and we get this damage string. Now, we don't want to just convert damage to an integer, because we're going to get this crazy integer. Now, one of the things we need to make sure we do on this one is a way to a place where we're going to split it, right? Because we built it. We need a separator. I'm going to use that. You don't have to use those. You can use a letter if you wanted to, but I'm going to use that. All right, so let's go over to health. Let's go into here and let's string split. And let's just go up here. Should almost separate these things down here. Oh, I have no place to separate them to. Well, that's silly of me. Stick them over there. Get rid of them for now. So what are we gonna? We're gonna take the damage string. The separator is that, and we need an array. So this is our new strings, and array get strings at index 0 is going to be user ID string. So string to int user ID is now ID, and we also want strings index 0, which is our damage string. So now that we have this, we also need to and int compare. So my ID and ID, if they are equal, okay, go on. If they're not equal, don't do anything. All right, so let's test that real quick. I know it's all kind of a long, convoluted thing. So I mean, you should be able to send it right to the player. There's probably some issue there. Something I overlooked. Again, I mean, it's one of those things I'll look at after I'm doing this video, and I'll be like, oh my god, I forgot some stupid thing. I'm an idiot. Right, so here we have this. Oh, there we go. Bam, bam, bam. And if I stand over here, this guy's like, hey, wait, I'm gonna hit you too, a-hole. Right, so I mean, I know it looked odd. It's kind of a pain. That's one thing with PlayMaker is all the events on these things are strings, right? It's always a string. You're always sending string, and by code you can do integers and everything else as well. So there's kind of a difference there. And with that said, I mean, you could make custom actions actually for that. I would imagine. I don't see why not. So like I said, we build a string of the ID of the person we're hitting. We're putting in a marker somewhere. I said it doesn't have to be a slash. Like you could use the letter A, as long as the rest of it's not going to contain an A. It doesn't really matter. Which everything should be numbers anyways. And then we know, because we're building it in a way that we're using the first part for the ID and the second part is a string. This is the same method if you want to say use vectors and stuff like that, because you can't transfer a vector over. It needs to be a string. So you got to convert a vector into 3 strings, the X, Y, and Z, and send it over, and then break it apart in those 3 things and rebuild the vector. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, and once you get used to it, it's really not that bad. But there is a few things that we've now kind of fixed up. And we should probably do some more. I don't know, make a little something out of it and respawning and stuff maybe. But so far, that's kind of where we're at. All right, talk to you guys later.